Hello, everyone, and welcome again to another Teacher Joseph podcast. We've spoken before about the importance of breathing, and as you can hear at the moment, all my words are joined up. Many English learners tell me that this is one of the hardest things to do, and that is to take a deep breath in and push the words out at the same time as you're breathing out without leaving spaces, and then take a deep breath and do the same again. Now, we don't always talk like that. I don't go to the coffee shop, take a deep breath, and say, I would like a coffee, please. I think if I did that, they probably would think that I'm in an audition for a Shakespeare play or something like that. But in general, when we are talking, we do kind of control our breathing to make ourselves sound more fluent, along with intonation and just being very careful with stretching the words a little bit. It gives a lovely presentation. It's much better than trying to join the words up with spaces in between them. For us, that's how children speak. So it's just really important that you're aware of getting your breathing right. Because if you get your breathing right and you fill every bit of it with sound, then you know that you're not leaving spaces. So you need to be a little bit careful with that. So it's very easy. You can practice by taking a big deep breath and just trying to push the air out filled with sound. So a big deep breath in and out. If you think of a song, when a singer is singing, you'll notice the words just seem to flow into each other. And so does the music. If you play the piano, you don't play each note individually. C, D, E, F. It would be a very boring song if it was played like that. There tends to be musical phrases where the notes go together. And that's what you're really aiming for when you're speaking. If you listen to a newscaster, a news presenter, then you're able to hear how it works. Now, of course, you don't always want to sound like a news presenter, but if you listen to even English people speaking, you'll hear that the words just seem to flow, even if they don't know what to say. Oh, I'm really struggling to find the words to answer you. Let me think about that. There's no spaces. And that's a very different thing from leaving a silence. So, just listen for a moment to what I'm about to say. I'm about to just read a sentence like a newsreader would, okay? So, deep breath in. Voice up. In other news today at Edinburgh Castle, it seems that vandals have, and then you can say what the story is. Okay, so for example, vandals have damaged the box containing the Stone of Destiny. Now, if I said in other news today, vandals have destroyed the box containing the Stone of Destiny, you would hear there that it just doesn't sound right. It sounds broken, doesn't it? So when you put breathing onto it, vandals today have committed a terrible act. You can hear how my voice changes. Even while trying to get the sentence together, there isn't really a sense of any deep space. It gives a feeling of reassurance as well. So you're all in a coffee shop, you and a group of friends, and you're trying to decide what to have, you know. So, for example, you could say, I'm not sure. I think I'd like a latte, please. That's very different from saying, I do not know. I think a latte, please, which makes you sound like some kind of 1970s robot. There we are. So that's just a little hint on breathing. Just take a big deep breath in and push the breath out. I think part of the problem is that in today's stress-filled world, people are very good at breathing in, but they don't really breathe out. They breathe in and then they hold the breath, only letting it out with things that they feel secure about, because people are stressed. But if you get into that normal way of reading and speaking, it's actually very relaxing, and you don't have to be overly dramatic about it, you know, by using too much intonation. You could begin even with short phrases. With English learners, it's difficult because they often have to rehearse the words in their mind before they say them. So it kind of becomes like, how do I say that in English? And that takes time. But with practice, when you get into the habit of just letting the words flow without worrying about them too much, it forms a greater connection with the person you're speaking to as well, because they can feel the emotion, you know? Anyway, speaking about Edinburgh Castle, it is true that there were vandals there yesterday, and they did indeed damage the case of the Stone of Destiny. Now, I think this actually happened on Wednesday. For those of you who don't know what Edinburgh Castle is, it's a huge castle that sits on the site of an old volcano in the middle of Edinburgh City, which is north of the border. Now, we say north of the border to describe Scotland. So things which happen in Scotland, we say north of the border. And Scottish people refer to England as south of the border. So you may hear on the news, north of the border today, or in the north of the border. At Edinburgh Castle, a group of vandals broke in and damaged the casing of the Stone of Destiny. Now, let me just explain what the Stone of Destiny is. It's a very important stone because our royals used to sit on it when they were being crowned. That is the Scottish royals. And that stone these days is a huge marker of Scottish life, culture, and independence. It's a little bit strange that few people have heard of this. This stone has been stolen many times, has turned up in many different places around Scotland and England. It has quite a history. It's regarded as a very sacred stone, and the owner of it, or whoever holds it, is regarded as its custodian. It often appears at the time of the coronation of our royals, and when King Charles was crowned some time ago, I think on the 6th of May, that stone was taken to England, of course, because these days the royal family rule all of the UK, which is Scotland and England. The joining of the crowns was something of our history when the King of Scotland went to England to be king of both countries, when the country as one, the United Kingdom, was formed. I think that was King James I of Scotland. No, I'm wrong. King James VI of Scotland, King James I of England. They were always cousins. I mean, it was the same family. So the Stone of Destiny represents the Scottish parts and is considered to be very, very sacred. No one's allowed to touch it, and it exists. It's permanently placed in Edinburgh Castle. Anyway, a group of protesters broke in there on Wednesday, and they broke the glass of the case. So the casing on this thing is a very heavy glass, and they broke it and they spray painted the glass, saying that they're demanding a reduction in the price of baby food. Yeah, it's as ridiculous as it sounds. That's right. They they actually went to the Stone of Destiny, and they were protesting at food prices, and they left messages to say that they're demanding a reduction in the cost of food, particularly baby food. I'm not sure how they left that message. I think they spray painted it on the glass, or at least near it. And of course, they were immediately arrested and taken away. And the castle went into lockdown. Very interesting. So that happened just a couple of days ago. I don't know how old the Stone of Destiny is, but the castle has been there since the 12th century. And even before that, there was some older official residence there, probably used by tribes, I don't know. So the Stone of Destiny probably dates back as far as that. So it's not something which you really want to play with or try to steal. Yeah, it's very interesting. It invokes all kinds of imagery of Scottish independence, perhaps wars in the past with neighbouring countries like England. Let's go through some adjectives which actually describe not only the stone, but the castle as well. One of them, of course, is ancient, reflecting the old age and historical significance of many castles. While I'm reading these, just notice my breathing. There's no big spaces there. The words are sitting very comfortably together because I'm phrasing them. I'm not taking one big deep breath and using all of my breath to speak. I'm just phrasing them into short sentences. Another one is majestic. That's highlighting the grandeur and impressive nature of, indeed, a castle, or in this case, the stone itself. Majestic brings a memory for me of that song, Majestic by Wax Fang. It's a lovely song. It's very strange, haunting lyrics. I don't know if you know it. A sight for sore eyes to the blind would be awful majestic. Okay, well, they've got bad English. It should be awfully majestic. It would be the most beautiful thing that they ever had seen. It would cause such surprise, it would make all of their minds electric. How could anyone tell them that some things are not what they seem? So they're talking there about if someone gets their sight back. Wax Fang sing that song. Anyway, getting back to our adjectives for castles, imposing. Now, anything which is imposing is something which really seems to you to be big, strong, and intimidating. So a castle is certainly imposing, but so are some bosses when they come to your desk and stand over you. They can appear to be very intimidating. Imposing isn't such a hard word as intimidating, but when you're talking about a person, it still describes them very well. Fortified, describing the strong defensive structures of a castle. Medieval, of course. Well, I think Edinburgh Castle is existing before medieval times, but medieval is pertaining to the period when most castles were built, I think between isn't it the 14th and 17th century medieval? Maybe a bit earlier. Turreted, yeah, if a castle has turrets, it's those little bits on what looks like the top of chimneys. It's like little bits of stone that stick up. So you have a little bit, then a space, and another little bit. That's a turret. It's a characteristic of castle architecture. Dilapidated for castles which are falling down, or indeed for any building which is falling into disrepair. We often describe it as dilapidated, which is a great pity. Many of them here are, and if you have some money, you can easily buy a castle here, but then you go to ask permission to renovate it or repair it, and you're told no because it's precious in the eyes of the government. Buildings which you can't touch or you're not allowed to touch are usually called listed buildings because they're listed with the government as being protected. What else can we say? Oh, opulent. Yeah, that's ones which are still standing and are luxurious with a lot of adorned interiors. Enigmatic, which means puzzling. Well, the Stone of Destiny definitely is this bit of concrete. Well, it's not concrete exactly. It really is stone. You know, there's nothing artificial about it, but it really conjures up imagery of some romantic notion of people running around in kilts trying to defend each other. And that's more of an American dream than it is a reality here. Gothic, of course, referring to its style, which is a little bit dark in its moods. Stately, emphasizing dignity of our royals. Haunted, because there's so many stories associated with the stone and indeed with the castle. Strategic, yeah, that castle's built on the side of a volcano, which, they didn't just decide one day, oh, I think I'll build the castle on the side of the volcano. Of course, it was strategic. I mean, if you ever see it, there's no way you can get up there. The roads are kind of new. I'm just remembering the last time I was at Edinburgh Castle. I must have been a child, and yeah, there's no way you can get up there except for the new roads they've built. It's a very steep hill trying to get up there, so it was definitely strategic. Yeah, you have to have a strategy for getting up there as well. Taxi's a good way, unless you're particularly fit. Legendary is another word for castles that are famous and have many stories of myths associated with them. Legendary is usually used in English to talk about a kind of one-off great thing that happened. Like England winning the World Cup was supposedly legendary, or a legendary figure. And we often hear people saying, oh, that thing was legendary. But legendary really is more associated with legends and things which have many stories or myths associated with them, like that stone. But it somehow wouldn't seem right to say that stone is legendary. It is, but that's not the way we usually use the word, especially not these days, We also hear people saying to other people, oh, you're a complete legend, thank you so much, if they help you do something, or rather if you help them. Oh, you're a complete legend. Yeah, and some people may abbreviate that and say, oh, thank you, you're just a complete ledge. Yes, breathtaking. Well, the view at Edinburgh Castle is certainly breathtaking, emphasizing the awe-inspiring beauty or view of the castle itself. It really is a beautiful place. I recommend you Google it. If you are very interested in Scottish history, the Stone of Destiny and the Scottish Crown Jewels are things that you definitely should be interested in. It's very, very interesting. I also think you should definitely check out that song by Wax Fang, which is called Majestic. It's one of those songs which, I don't know, it reminds me of a Queen song. It's like the Queen song that never was sang. Of course, it's got nothing to do with Queen, but it's a kind of song I can hear Freddie Mercury singing. It has some power thing associated with it, and it became very famous because they used it in the animated cartoon American Dad. Yeah, very, very beautiful. It's a lovely song. It leaves you feeling with tingles on the back of your neck, you know. By the way, in case you're wondering, a wax fang is just two words put together. Wax is the stuff a candle is made of, and it's the stuff that melts as the candle is burning. And a fang is a long tooth, which you find on animals such as wolves. Dracula, the vampire, has fangs as well to bite you with. So those are fangs. So a wax fang is a bit of a strange expression, those two words put together, a fang made of wax. And there we are. So the takeaway for today really is just begin to notice how people phrase things together. You don't have to take big, deep breaths and push out everything all at once, as perhaps a newscaster suggests, but just begin to group the words together that you want to say. For example, instead of saying that castle is beautiful and I like it, that castle is beautiful and I like it. Just to see the words you can phrase, you know, to be more musical. You know that's the way we talk. And that's it from me for today. So I wish you a very wonderful day ahead and take care. Bye.